Hey everybody, it's the weekend headed into February week 3, monthly OPEX on the S&P 500, taking another look at the fork chart. There is a previous video to this. You can find it on my YouTube channel if you're new to the account and have never seen this chart before. We had I brought this out and sort of introduced this concept to everybody. This is something I've been doing for years, but I kind of stopped doing them once we got into around 2016, 2017. But that previous video will explain to you the setup, how you draw these forks and why they matter, and kind of explains their usefulness and so forth. So go ahead and take a look at that video after you see this one if you have no idea what you're looking at here. So anyway, that last video we talked about a move down that would be targeting this right here where I'm pointing at right now. This spot where this accelerated fork crossed with this sort of longer term bull fork that we were in. And we got into this accelerated one when we broke out of this last fork. And I thought that maybe since these two guys were crossing here right at a time period where it looked like we were beginning to sell off, that this would be a target right here where they crossed. We only got down to the midway point between the median line and the bottom of this fork. So we only got about halfway there to the target. And I thought that that was pretty interesting. So I started thinking this week, or these past couple of days, now that we are back above and holding well above the median line of this fork, once again, maybe we are headed towards the midpoint once again between the top and the median line of the fork. So I went ahead and I made an addition to the chart, adding this little dotted trend line. This marks the midpoint between the median line on the top, the median line on the bottom of the fork. And I backed off and I looked at what our breakouts have done over the course of the last six months or so. So our breakout in October, right here, was around, we're using the 3028 level for that. And that was significant because that was the July, I'm pointing to the left here, that was the July all-time high. And that was one of the key plotting points on it. That happened in October as we heard for the first time about the Phase 1 trade deal that was introduced to the public. And that took us to a point at the end of November where we sort of topped out and sold off a little and then broke out in December. And literally that day was on the day that the tariffs, it was announced that the tariffs would be taken off, the ones that were going to be, that final tranche that was going to be put on December 15th. So that was another breakout point. So from 3028 to this next breakout point, which I consider to be 3154, that was a move of about 4.18%. Okay, so then we moved in December from 3154 until we topped out at our most recent point at around 3334. So this encompasses, the area where we topped out in January, we sold off, and then we finally broke out again this past week above that level. And what I do to figure this point out, this is somewhat of an arbitrary number, this 3134, just sort of averages together where all this stuff topped out and where all this stuff sort of churned and tried to break out from in February. And I came up with 3334. That's 5.7% of a rise from here, from this last breakout point, considering that we're in a breakout now that's similar to these two breakouts that we just had. And we average these two numbers together. Maybe we're going to travel up about another 4.9%, 4.94 to be exact would be this move. And this would get us a 34.99. If we simply do a mathematical double up, the same amount of points that we travel from this breakout point to this breakout point, that would get us to maybe 35.14. All right. Now, if we put on here and we get to the midpoint between the top of the fork and the median line, that would take us to these two time levels where they cross this line, and that's from around March 17th to March 23rd. Okay, and when we look at this in close-up here, if this will even let me do it, no, it doesn't look like it wants to. Around March 17th, and then this line would cross around here around March 23rd to get to this next point. So between, let's say, 3,500 to 35.14, 35.15. That is about 100 points more on the most recent target that I was thinking about and that I gave you guys in last weekend's video. So yes, I am adding on to this just in case there is on that news that dropped on Friday about how the administration is mulling over the idea of giving families that earn under $200,000 a year the opportunity to deduct 10 grand from their income for investments is basically what they're saying with that. You can put 10 grand in the market and earn on that interest free. So your first, however that all works out, whatever, it's there to encourage the middle class to put more money in the market. So if we're going to travel another 100 points on that news, that would be the catalyst behind getting here. And now, granted, in order to get to March 17th to March 23rd, we have to get past all of these upcoming Democratic primaries. We've got Super Tuesday on March 3rd. What if Bernie Sanders does not win on March 3rd? Maybe that is the catalyst that helps us continue to rally. What if everybody gets really bared up and a lot of shorts go all in once again, just like they did ahead of the Iowa caucus, and look at what that got them. That got them absolutely nothing. That got them a 100-point rally in their face. What if that whole situation happens again, where people get all bared up ahead of Super Tuesday, March 3rd, and instead we just keep on rallying like we did right through Iowa and New Hampshire? That's how we could get here to March 17th to March 23rd, and these targets around 3,500 to 3,514 or so. Why would we maybe come off the market at that point? Well, when you look at a calendar, around March 17th to the 23rd, that's about a week ahead of time when spring break kicks in. A lot of people will take money off the table because they're going to be going on vacation. When you get into the first week of April, you have Passover. Again, a lot of people take time off of work. You get into April 15th, you've got tax day. We often see money get, taken off the table, stocks get sold in order to raise money to pay taxes on the 15th. So that makes a lot of sense that we could keep on moving towards this end line goal around week 3 to week 4 of March. What else happens in week 3 of March around this time? March OPEX. So I think that if we go into this week, February OPEX, and we settle February options maybe above 34.25, 34.20, 34.25, that will mark a line in the sand for us. And as long as we hold that, we're going to go up about another 80 to 100 points to get to our next target here at 3,500 to 3,514. That is, once again, that is an average move of the last two that were made. So it could be more, it could be less, or it's a doubling up, a simple doubling up. And the timing of this comes in based on that math and where those levels fall and hit this midpoint, this midpoint between the median line and the top of this accelerated fork. Okay? Hope that entertained you for the weekend and gave you something to think about. And like I said, go back and look at the first video regarding these forks, and that talked about a big downside target that never hit, but we did trade down towards it. That was supposed to happen around the first week of February. So that's how you can find that video on the YouTube channel. Just look back a few videos to the beginning of February, end of January, and then there's that one. Okay, that's it. Have a great rest of your weekend. Good luck and good trading.